Picture this. It's a Tuesday afternoon in 1957. I'm a young senator, sitting in a committee meeting. Someone proposes something I know is wrong, something that would hurt working families back in Massachusetts. I look around the room. 12 other senators, all older, all silent. My heart's pounding. My mouth's dry. There's this voice in my head saying, "You're the youngest one here. Who are you to speak up? What if you're wrong?" But there's another voice, quieter but stronger, saying, "If not you, who? If not now, when?" I raised my hand. My voice shook. And you know what happened? Nothing dramatic. No applause. But 2 other senators spoke up after me. Then 3 more. That's how change works, my friend. It doesn't start with everyone. It starts with one. And I'm guessing that's why you're here right now. Because there's something in your life, some situation where you know you should speak up, and you haven't yet. Maybe it's at work. Maybe it's at home. Maybe it's something you see happening in your community, and you keep thinking, somebody should say something. Somebody should do something. Well, let me tell you what I learned the hard way. That somebody, it's you. It's always been you. And by the end of our time together today, you're going to understand not just why your voice matters, but exactly how to use it, even when you're scared, especially when you're scared. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but I'm not a senator. I'm not a president. I'm just me. Who am I to speak up? And that's exactly the lie that keeps good people silent while bad things happen. You don't need a title. You don't need authority. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room or the most experienced. You need exactly one qualification, and you already have it. You're a human being who can see something that's not right. That's it. That's enough. See, here's what nobody tells you. That feeling you have right now, that knot in your stomach when you think about speaking up, I've felt it. Every person who's ever done anything meaningful has felt it. The difference between people who change things and people who just wish things would change isn't that one group feels brave and the other feels scared. They both feel scared. The difference is that one group decided that something mattered more than their fear. And I get it. You're tired of that sick feeling at 3 in the morning, aren't you? That voice that says, I should have said something. I should have stood up for them. I should have spoken the truth. You're carrying around all these unsaid words, and every time you add another one, a little piece of you dims. You're frustrated with yourself. You're watching problems grow that could have been stopped if someone had just said something. And the someone who could have said something was you. But you're also confused, right? Because you've seen people speak up and get shut down. You've seen people lose friends, lose jobs, make things worse instead of better. So you're stuck between doing nothing and doing something you're afraid you'll regret. And underneath all of that is this quiet voice asking, who are you to say anything? What if you're wrong? What if you're overreacting? What if it's really not your place? Well, let me tell you something. I've led a nation through the Cuban Missile Crisis, 13 days when one wrong word could have ended the world. I've had to stand up to my own advisors, my own party, my own comfort, not because I was naturally brave, but because I learned something that changed everything. Silence isn't safety. It's surrender in slow motion. And here's the contrast I want you to see clearly. Right now, you're carrying the weight of unsaid words. Every time you choose silence, you become someone you don't fully respect. You're watching situations get worse. You're feeling smaller. But imagine this. Imagine walking into situations knowing exactly how to speak truth with wisdom. Imagine feeling that familiar fear but moving anyway. Imagine people starting to come to you because they know you'll tell the truth. Most importantly, imagine sleeping well at night because you're living aligned with your values. You become the person in the room others look to. That's not fantasy. That's what happens when you learn what I'm going to teach you today. Now, Before we go further, I need to clear up some things that most people get wrong about speaking up. First, you don't need to be fearless. That's a myth. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that something matters more than your fear. The most powerful stands I've seen were quiet, clear, and impossible to ignore. It's not about volume, it's about conviction. Third, stop waiting for someone else to say something. Everyone in that room is thinking the exact same thing you're thinking. They're all waiting for someone to go first. Leadership is just being the person who moves first. And fourth, you don't need authority or expertise to speak up. You need exactly one qualification, and I already told you what it is. You're a human being who sees something wrong. That's it. That's enough. Most people will tell you to just be brave or just speak up. That's useless advice. It's like telling someone to just fly without teaching them how planes work. What I'm going to share with you isn't inspiration. It's a practical system I developed over decades of having to stand up in rooms where I was the youngest, the most inexperienced, or the most alone. This is about strategy, not just courage. And I'm not talking to you as a president. I'm talking to you as someone who knows what it's like to feel small in a big moment, to feel your voice shake, to worry about what people will think. The difference between who I was and who I became wasn't some magical transformation. It was a series of small decisions to care more about doing right than feeling comfortable. And if I could make those decisions, me, with all my doubts and fears, so can you. So let me take you back to a moment that taught me everything I know about finding your voice when it matters most. Before I give you the framework, I need to show you how I learned this. Because courage isn't born, it's built, one uncomfortable moment at a time. It's 1954. I'm recovering from back surgery, essentially bedridden for months. I started researching senators throughout history who destroyed their careers by taking principled stands. Everyone thought I was crazy for admiring people who lost everything. But I was trying to understand something. What makes someone choose integrity over self-interest? I found something fascinating. These senators, John Quincy Adams, Sam Houston, Edmund Ross, they all described the same moment. Right before they took their stand, there was this crystal clear second where they could see two futures, one where they stayed quiet and safe, and one where they spoke up and paid the price. And in that second, they realized something. The price of silence was higher than the price of standing up, not in their careers, in their souls. That research became my book, Profiles in Courage, but more importantly, it gave me a map for everything I'm about to share with you. And here's what nobody tells you about those senators. Most of them said their stand wasn't this heroic moment. It was just the day they got tired of pretending they didn't see what they saw. That's important. Remember that. Now let me tell you about a phone call that changed everything for me. 1960, during my presidential campaign, Martin Luther King Jr. gets arrested in Georgia. He's thrown in jail, and there are real fears for his safety. My advisors tell me, don't get involved, you'll lose the southern states, stay silent. I'm sitting in my hotel room with this phone in my hand. I know one call to Coretta King, Dr. King's wife, could help. But I also know it could cost me the election. Everyone's telling me to think strategically, to wait, to stay silent. And for a few hours, I listen to them. Then my brother Bobby asks me a simple question. What would you want someone to do if that was your wife, if that was your brother? And suddenly the calculation changes. It's not about votes. It's not about strategy. It's about whether I'm the kind of person who helps when I can help. I made the call. 2 calls, actually. Me to Coretta, Bobby to the judge. Dr. King was released the next day. Because here's what I learned that night, and this is crucial. When you stay silent because it's strategic, you don't just lose your voice. you lose your compass. You start measuring right and wrong by what's convenient instead of what's true. And once you start doing that, you can justify anything. You can justify any silence, any cowardice, any betrayal of your own values. And pretty soon, you look in the mirror and you don't recognize the person looking back. Let me tell you about October 1962, Cuban Missile Crisis. Soviet missiles in Cuba, 90 miles from Florida. The Joint Chiefs want immediate airstrikes. My military advisors are unanimous. Hit them now, hit them hard, don't negotiate. In a room of 40 people, staying silent means going along with potential nuclear war. I'm the youngest person in that room. Everyone has more military experience than me. The pressure to just agree, to defer to expertise, to not rock the boat, it's crushing. And there's this voice saying, these men know what they're talking about. Who are you to question them? Stay silent. Trust them. But I couldn't shake this feeling that we were missing something, that there had to be another way. So I did something that felt absolutely terrifying. I said no. Not loudly, not dramatically. I just said, gentlemen, I understand your position, but I need to explore other options. We're not going to rush into war. Some of those advisors never forgave me for overruling them, but we found another way. A blockade, negotiations, a peaceful resolution. And afterward, one of the generals told me something I'll never forget. Mr. President, I'm glad you spoke up when you did, because I was starting to have doubts too. But I didn't think it was my place to say. Let that sink in. He outranked me in military experience by decades, and he was waiting for permission to speak. That's when I understood something profound. The person who seems most certain is often just as scared as you are. They're just waiting for someone else to give them permission to tell the truth. Your voice doesn't just change your life. It gives others permission to find theirs. One more story, then we'll get to the how. 1963. I wanted to stop nuclear testing. Everyone said the American people weren't ready, that I'd be called soft on communism. I gave the speech anyway, at American University. Tens of thousands of letters from people saying, thank you. I've been thinking the same thing. I just needed someone to say it first. See, these stories aren't about me being special. They're about what happens when one person decides that staying silent is no longer an option. And now I'm going to show you how to do it yourself. Based on those experiences and a lifetime of watching people find their courage, let me share the framework that makes all of this possible. I call them the 5 truths of standing up. The first truth is what I call the clarity principle. Before you speak up, you need to know why you're speaking. Not vaguely, specifically. Because when the pushback comes, and it will come, your why is what keeps you standing. Here's what I mean. Ask yourself, am I speaking to change the situation or to relieve my own discomfort? Am I speaking because it's right or because I want to be seen as right? There's a big difference. One makes you a leader. The other makes you just another voice in the noise. Here's how I test it. Would I still say this if nobody would ever know I said it? If there's no credit, no recognition, no validation, would I still speak up? If the answer is yes, you found your truth. If it's no, you need to dig deeper. Some people need to speak up because they have information others don't. Some because they have moral clarity others lack. Some because they're the only one in the room who can afford the cost. All of these are valid. Know which one you are. Before you open your mouth, complete this sentence. I'm speaking up because someone needs, not because I think or because I want, because someone needs. That shift changes everything. When you're clear on who needs your voice and why, the fear doesn't disappear, but it becomes manageable. Because now you're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about them, the person being treated unfairly, the principle being violated, the truth being buried. That clarity pulls you forward. The second truth is what I call the timing paradox. Here's the paradox. The perfect time to speak up doesn't exist, but the right time always reveals itself. And usually, it's now. You're waiting to feel ready. You're waiting for certainty. You're waiting to have all the answers. But here's what I learned. You'll never feel ready. The fear you feel today, you'll feel it tomorrow too. And next week, waiting doesn't make it easier. It makes it harder. Because now you're carrying the weight of all the times you didn't speak. Every day you wait, the problem gets deeper roots. Every day you stay silent, it becomes harder to speak. Not because the situation changes, but because you're building a habit of silence. You're training yourself to be the person who sees but doesn't say. And that's a dangerous habit to build. The best time to speak up is when you least want to. When your heart's pounding. When your mouth's dry. When you're not sure what to say. Because that discomfort, that's not a warning sign. It's a compass, pointing directly at what matters. But, and this is crucial, don't confuse urgency with impulsiveness. There's a difference between I need to speak now because this moment matters and I need to speak now because I'm emotional. One is courage. The other is reaction. Learn to tell them apart. Ask yourself, if I don't speak now, will someone be harmed? Will a wrong become harder to right? Will silence send a message I don't want to send? If any answer is yes, the time is now. The third truth is what I call the messenger's responsibility. How you speak is just as important as what you speak. Maybe more important. Because if people can't hear you, it doesn't matter what you said. Speak to transform, not to condemn. When you stand up, you're trying to change something, right? You can't change people by making them defensive. You change them by making them think. There are 3 ways to deliver truth: as an accusation, as a lecture, or as an invitation. The first 2 might feel satisfying in the moment, but they close ears. The third, the invitation, it opens possibilities. Instead of, you're wrong, try, have you considered? Instead of, this is terrible, try, we can do better, and here's how. I learned this from my father, who told me, Jack, people don't care what you know until they know you care. When you speak up, make it clear you're not attacking people. You're fighting for a principle. You're not above them looking down. You're beside them looking forward. The tone that works is firm but not harsh, clear but not cruel, confident but not arrogant. The tone that says, I respect you enough to tell you the truth, and I believe in you enough to know you can handle it. There's a difference between being nice and being kind. Nice is telling people what makes them comfortable. Kind is telling them what helps them grow. You're not trying to be liked when you speak up. You're trying to be useful, to be true. Those are different goals. The fourth truth is what I call the loneliness factor. When you stand up, you will feel alone. Not might feel, will feel. You need to prepare for this, or you'll mistake loneliness for being wrong. Here's what nobody tells you. When you speak up first, there's always a lag. Those few seconds, minutes, or days where everyone's watching to see what happens to you. They're not against you, they're calculating risk. They're thinking, let's see how this plays out before I commit. That lag feels like abandonment. It's not. It's just fear. Some of the most important stands I took alone. Or at least it felt that way at first. The Civil Rights Act, the space program, nuclear disarmament. In the beginning, I had more critics than supporters. But here's what happened every time. Once someone breaks the silence, others find their voice. Your courage doesn't just change the situation, it changes what's possible for everyone watching. People are like water. They flow toward the path of least resistance. When you stand up, You're not making a path of least resistance. You're making a path of most integrity. At first, you'll walk it alone, but integrity has gravity. It pulls others toward it, slowly but surely. On those lonely nights when you wonder if you did the right thing, remember this. Every person who changed the world felt exactly what you're feeling right now. That loneliness isn't a sign you're wrong. It's a sign you're first. There's a big difference. Build your circle before you need it. Find people who value courage over comfort. Not yes men, truth tellers. People who will tell you when you're right and when you're self-righteous. You need those voices when the crowd goes quiet. The fifth truth is what I call the compound effect of courage. Every time you stand up, you make the next stand easier. Not just for you, for everyone around you. Courage is contagious. Here's what happens neurologically. The first time you speak up and survive, your brain records that. Oh, we didn't die, we're still here. The second time is still scary, but your brain has evidence now. We did this before and lived. By the fifth time, something shifts. Fear is still there, but it's no longer in the driver's seat. But here's the beautiful part. It's not just about you. When you speak up, you give everyone watching permission to do the same. I saw this constantly. One senator would take a stand, then another, then three more. It wasn't because they all suddenly became brave. It's because someone went first and made it possible. Think of courage as a muscle. The first time you lift, it's hard. But you don't judge yourself by the first lift. You judge yourself by whether you keep showing up. Same with standing up. The first time will be shaky. The 10th time will be steadier. The 100th time, you'll wonder why you ever found it scary. Here's what really happens. You stop being someone who occasionally speaks up. You become someone who speaks up. That's not a small change. That's a complete identity shift. And once your identity shifts, the decisions get easier. You're not asking, should I speak? You're asking, how should I speak? Because speaking up isn't a choice anymore. It's who you are. Think about this. 50 years from now, what will people say you stood for? Will they say you were someone who spoke up when it mattered? Or will they say you were smart enough to know what was right but quiet enough not to rock the boat? You're writing that story right now, today, in this moment. Now let's make this real. I'm going to give you a practical system you can use tomorrow. Actually, you can use it today. These are the exact steps I wish someone had given me when I was young. The first practice I call the pregame ritual. Before you walk into any situation where you might need to speak up, a meeting, a family dinner, a friend gathering, do this three-part ritual. First, the grounding statement. Say to yourself, I am here to see clearly and speak truly. I will not mistake comfort for peace, and I will not mistake silence for wisdom. Say it 3 times. Out loud if you can, in your head if you must. This reminds you of your purpose. Second, the values check. Ask yourself, what do I value most in this situation? Is it honesty, fairness, compassion, protection? Name it specifically. Write it down if possible. This becomes your North Star when things get complicated. Third, the possibility visualization. Visualize 2 futures, one where you stay silent and one where you speak up. Don't just think about it, feel it. Feel the heaviness of silence. Feel the nervousness, but also the lightness of speaking. Your body knows which path aligns with who you want to be. Trust it. This ritual takes 2 minutes, but it shifts you from reactive to intentional. You're not going in hoping you'll find courage. You're going in having already claimed it. The second practice is what I call sentence starters. When you don't know how to begin, use these proven sentence starters. I've used variations of all of them. for offering a different perspective. Say, I see it differently, and here's why. This signals you're not attacking their view, just adding your own. For naming something others see but won't say, try, I think we're all noticing this specific thing, and I believe we need to talk about it. This invites others into the conversation. For standing firm on principle, use, I understand the pressure to stay silent or go along, but I can't do that because of this specific value or principle. This explains your stand without condemning theirs. For calling out wrong action, say, when this specific action happens, the impact is this specific harm. We can do better. This focuses on behavior and impact, not character assassination. For inviting change, try, what if we tried this alternative approach? Here's why I think it could work. This offers a path forward, not just criticism. These starters give your brain a launch pad. The hardest part of speaking up is the first word. The third practice is the daily courage ladder. You don't go from silent to speaking truth to power overnight. You build up. Here's your ladder. Rung 1, speak up when you agree with the minority. Someone says something true that others are dismissing. Add your voice. I agree with that. Simple, low risk, but powerful. Rung 2, ask the question everyone's thinking. You know there's something unclear or wrong, and everyone's too polite to ask. You ask, can you clarify, or I'm confused about? Questions are less scary than statements, but they break silence just as much. Rung 3, name your observation without judgment. I've noticed this specific pattern, or it seems like this specific thing is happening. You're not saying it's good or bad yet, just that you see it. This builds your truth-telling muscle. Rung 4, state your perspective clearly. Here's how I see this situation. You're offering your view as one valid perspective, not the only one. Rung 5, take a stand on principle. This doesn't align with our values or what we said we'd do or what's right, and I think we need to reconsider. This is full voice. Each day, try to do one rung higher than your comfort zone. Not 5 rungs, 1. By the end of a month, you'll be a different person. The fourth practice is the reflection protocol. Every night, before bed, ask yourself 3 questions. Write the answers if you can. Question 1, when did I see something today that wasn't right? Just notice, no judgment yet. What did you see? At work, in the news, in interactions that struck you as off? Question 2, did I say something or did I stay silent? Again, no judgment, just truth. What did you do? Question 3, if I stayed silent, what would I say if I had another chance? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about preparation. You're rehearsing for the next opportunity because there will always be a next opportunity. This practice does 2 things. First, it makes you more aware of moments that need your voice. Second, it prevents the regret from piling up. You're learning from each missed opportunity instead of just carrying the guilt. You'll start to see patterns, situations where you speak up easily, and situations where you freeze. The patterns show you where to focus your growth. So let's bring this home. We've covered a lot of ground today, you and me, but it all comes down to something simple. You have a voice, not a perfect voice, not an all-knowing voice, but a true voice. And somewhere in your life right now, that voice is needed. Maybe at work, where someone's being treated unfairly. Maybe at home, where a conversation needs to happen. Maybe in your community, where something's going wrong and everyone's pretending it's fine. You see it, you feel it, and up until now, maybe you've been waiting to feel ready, waiting for permission, waiting for someone else to go first. But here's what I learned, and what I hope you take from this. Nobody's coming to give you permission. Nobody's coming to make you ready. And if you wait for someone else to go first, you're going to wait forever, because they're all waiting too. The choice isn't between feeling fear and feeling courage. You're always going to feel the fear. The choice is between letting fear make your decisions or making decisions in spite of fear. So here's what I want you to remember. And I want you to say this to yourself whenever you feel that familiar pull to stay silent. I am here for a reason. I see what I see for a reason. My voice matters because I am here. And I am human. And I refuse to live a life where I know what's right but lack the courage to say it. I will not ask what's safe. I will ask what's true. I will not ask what's comfortable. I will ask what's right. And I will speak, not perfectly, not without fear, but with integrity, because staying silent is not protecting me. It's diminishing me. Say that, mean that, live that. You know what the beautiful thing is? You don't have to change the world. You don't have to give some big speech or lead some movement. You just have to speak up in the next moment that asks for your voice. Just one moment. Just one stand. Just one truth. And that one moment, it changes everything. Not because you'll save the world in that instant, but because you'll save yourself. You'll become who you were meant to be. Someone who chose integrity over comfort, courage over silence, truth over popularity. And once you become that person, you can never unbecome them. The world will push you. It'll test you. It'll make you wonder if speaking up was worth it. But when you put your head on your pillow at night, you'll know. You'll sleep well because you're living aligned with who you truly are. You're not alone in this. There are millions of people watching this right now, all working on the same thing, finding their voice in a world that often rewards silence. We're in this together. You and me and everyone who's decided that staying silent is no longer an option. So here's what I'm asking you to do. First, if this resonated with you, if something here clicked or challenged you or gave you something you needed, hit that subscribe button. I put out content like this because I believe we need more people willing to speak up, and I want to be in your corner as you do that. Second, hit the like button if this helped you. It's a small thing, but it tells me this message is reaching people who need it, and it helps this video reach more people who might need it too. Third, and this is the most important one, go to the comments and tell me, what's one situation in your life right now where you know you need to speak up? You don't have to share details. Just name it. At work, with family, in my community, just name it. Because the moment you name it, you've taken the first step, and you've also given others permission to name theirs. That's how we build a community of people who choose courage over comfort. And finally, if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone who's struggling to find their voice, someone who's carrying the weight of words they haven't said, share this video with them. Don't explain it, just send it. Sometimes the best thing we can do for someone is show them they're not alone in their struggle. I'll leave you with this. The world doesn't need more people who stay silent because they're afraid of being wrong. It needs more people who speak up even though they're afraid of being wrong. It needs you, your voice, your truth, your courage. So stand up, speak up, and know that somewhere I'm standing with you. Ask not for permission to be who you're meant to be. Just be it. I'll see you in the next one.